I got invited to speak at the Alberta Engineering Association a couple of years ago, and I flew into Calgary, and I was driving up to Red Deer where the conference was, and I was thinking to myself, I'm a guy who spent 10 years on the street living under bridges and tunnels. What do I say to a group of engineers that build bridges and tunnels for a living? And the best thing I could come up with was, thanks. Keep up the good work, guys. Yeah. And when the opportunity presented itself at the age of 9, I started doing drugs. And if you understood the context, if you understood what was going on at home, if you understood what was going on at school, if you understood what was going on in between my ears, you understand that in some small, weird, merciful way, the drugs actually were a blessing because they gave me a safe place to be. I felt protected when I was high. For me, as I moved away from accountability. It was a little thing, but it was important. You know, I did something that was dumb and drastic. I struck a deal. I walked out of that bar without my boots. And I remember walking up East Hastings Street, completely broken as a human being. You know, but it was all those little things that I had done, all those little mistakes that I had made. In that moment, I believe that I became teachable. I believe that discontentment is the catalyst of change. It's not until we get backed into a corner where something really big has to happen before we snap our heads back and say, whoa, something needs to change here. And all that transferable skill that I had from the street. See, I had some real skills that I had developed. I was hungry. I knew the value of a work ethic. You know, believe it or not, being a homeless drug addict is a full-time job. Yeah, it is. And, you know, I knew the difference between real adversity and made-up stuff. We took that small little company and we turned it into a multi-million-dollar organization. In less than 12 years, I went from that guy pushing a shopping cart around the downtown east side to being on the cover of my name on the cover of Maclean's. And yeah, that's not me, that's Haley. So we're clear on that. And I remember I called my mom, I said, Ma, they're going to put my name on the cover of Maclean's magazine. She says, what the hell did you do this time? You know, as I stand here today, I can tell you just about everybody I knew back when I was 20 years old, they didn't make it. You know, in school, you're given a lesson, and then you're tested. But in life, you're tested until you learn the lesson. And every time that lesson repeats itself, the price of it goes up. Why do we do the things that we know will hurt us? Well, from my experience, it was the little things that we did. You know, it was those small, incremental mistakes that we made that added up. When I look back at every single one of my friends, and there's 20 more that I don't have pictures for, it was always something small, something benign, something little. The false belief that we were young and invincible. The currency of being rebellious. You know, I sold myself short to belong to a culture of unsafety, of danger, where the admission was to do something stupid. Yeah. And I didn't believe that the rules were for me, and neither did my friends. And we thought that we were the ones that were somehow, you know, excluded from the consequences of our poor choices. And the crazy thing about it is that for years I did things and I got away with it. And so it built this foundation of false belief that I did something and I got away with it. I did something and I got away with it. And we believed that we would always get away with it. So I think we're really good at identifying what are the key actions, what are the policies, what are the procedures, what's the system that needs to be followed. All right? But then we get to this next part, and this is really the thing that I believe is the biggest piece, but now we need to find a reason. Now I could talk to somebody who's trying to get a day or a week, or you know, they've been battling alcoholism or addiction all their life, and I could tell them all the things that they need to do, and they'll even sit and agree with me and say, yeah, that's what we need to do. But there's not a big enough reason to begin. There's not a reason why. And now I would think that a big part of your job is is helping equip people with the ability to make safe choices in their life, to manage the risk, whether that's social, chemical, environmental hazard, alcohol, drugs, all of those things. But at the end of the day, if there isn't a resonating reason why I would want to do this, then behavior has a shelf life. There's an attrition. There's a regression to the mean. What happens when the systems fail? What happens when the policies aren't followed? What happens when there's a disconnection to the reason why we need to do those things and do them all the time? I live with the disease of addiction. I live with this thing that does not take a holiday. I don't get a day off. I have to be in action every single day because it lurks right around the corner waiting for me to make a mistake. I have to stay connected to that reason why I have to do those actions. It's this working model. It's very interesting. And when we get out of action, that's when we see it happen. And sometimes we get into action and we drift, yeah, for a week, a month, a year, and there's an erosion. And then bam, it happens. And I stopped doing the little things. I was so ashamed of what happened, I didn't want to report it. I didn't want to report that incident. I didn't want the shame. I didn't want to tarnish my good record, so I went along. And I just thought I'd sweep it under the rug. I wouldn't tell anybody. It would get better, right? You can imagine what happened. A culture where mentorship is incredibly important. A culture where doing unsafe things is uncool. And it's not just a place that drives behavior based on fear. I mean, but inside that community, there's there's all kinds of things that happen. We face mortality. We face death. We face people getting hurt all the time. But it's not just that motivates sobriety. It's also the aspiration piece, the celebration of the right things that we've done and we're beginning to move towards. How many lives you've impacted? We know when we get it wrong. We absolutely know when we get it wrong. But I don't know if we always know when we get it right. How many lives and the trajectories of them have been changed because of who you are and what you do? You know, we may not be able to make the whole world safe for everyone, but what if it was possible to make it safe for one person? What if your career was defined by one life saved? What if your purpose is to simply be in the right place, modeling that right behavior to help that coworker get home to his family or her family? That's what it's all about, isn't it? For me, it's about the little things. Why am I so passionate about this stuff? Because I'm one of those guys that gets to go home tonight. On July 26, 1991, I began a journey, and I walked away from one of the most unsafe environments in the Western world, and I went on to find purpose to continue to live safe. I'm here today because of an idea that you represent. The courage to have that tough conversation and to hold people to a higher standard is an idea that saved my life. And that doesn't just mean the world to me, but it means the world to them too. It's the little things that you do that matter. So for who you are and what you do, thank you and continue to be safe. Thanks.